Hello and welcome to another episode of The Horror of Netflix. I'm substituting in for Callum in this episode because he's off doing something unspeakable. Anyway, so in this series we are going through some of the horror films that are available on Netflix. We're looking mostly at Netflix UK at the moment, but we'll probably do the US.
We'll probably
as well.
run out pretty quickly given that Netflix UK doesn't
Has
have that much content on
There's 4 horror films. That's it. So Martin and I were going to talk about the film Misery, which was released in 1990, directed by Rob Reiner, starring James Caan and Kathy Bates, based on the Stephen King novel. I nearly said novel.
That's why I just knew to jump in.
Oh, that's good.
Before you even made the mistake.
Anyway, your thoughts?
It's a brilliant film. It's the kind of horror film you can watch with your mum. Do you know what I mean? It's not like
You mean there's no rape in it?
No, there isn't rape in it, but it's the kind of film. I don't know, it's kind of edgy. There's like a lot of really kind of disturbing stuff goes on, but it's kind of cozy as well in a really
strange way,
disturbing sort of way.
I mean,
in the same way that quite a lot of Stephen King's stuff is, while being disturbing, also quite atmospherically cozy. Yeah. I
mean, I think that it's got one of the great performances by Kathy Bates. Probably should say a little bit about the plot without going into too many spoilers. Yeah. It follows James Caan, who is a famous author for writing this series of books starring a character called Misery, and after he finishes his most recent book, he is driving down from this log cabin that he's hired to do the writing and crashes his car in this snowstorm. He's then rescued and taken to this this house which is secluded somewhere by Kathy Bates' character, who turns out to be his #1 fan, as she says, and wants to nurse him to health, but at some point he realises he might not actually get out there.
It's a very slow reveal actually over time that she's it slowly builds the whole kind of insanity thing. And Callum's just showed up to fuck.
What are you guys doing in my living room? I know they're here. Carry on, guys. Sorry.
So yeah, it's a very gradual thing because you're kind of sympathetic towards her initially, and gradually the insanity sort of builds. He quite likes her initially, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, I mean, she comes across as very homely and sweet in the beginning, and that's what makes Kathy Bates' performance so fantastic, because she nails that aspect of the character, but also the fact that she puts on this performance, which is probably one of the greatest psychotic performances in cinema,
because she is kind of sympathetic in a lot of ways. Like even when she becomes full blown, crazy hag, she's quite likeable in a weird sort of.
Well, she dips in and out as well of it.
That's what's so chilling about it though, because she turns on a hairpin,
And James Caan's excellent as well. I mean, he doesn't have as much to do, but I mean, he has to convey the fact that he's trapped in this location, and I mean, it's sort of your worst nightmare. I think in a lot of ways,
especially for a successful writer like yourself.
but not knowing, knowing that you're in this remote location and that other people probably don't know where you are.
Yeah. Because they can't find his car because it's buried in snow.
Yeah.
And she wants him to continue writing because he recently killed off her favourite character. That's right.
Yes.
She killed off Misery. It's not a spoiler. It's like the start of the movie. He kills her off in the first
spoiler.
It is the start of the movie.
Actually, no, wait a minute.
It's not a spoiler.
He's right. He
kills her off right at the beginning.
It's not right at the beginning.
It is right. He finishes.
He's driving about down that road.
No. He finishes writing the book and then takes off driving.
We could just describe the rest of the film for you, and then you don't need to see it. I'll be Kathy Bates.
Fuck off.
It has.
I've got the hair.
The thing is, I've got the weight.
He's arguing to be Kathy Bates.
I know.
Yeah,
it's a film that I think treads a line quite well between being a thriller and being a horror film.
But it's an interesting thriller because it's a thriller in which the protagonist moves about 5 feet throughout the whole. Well, maybe a bit more than that, but it's all constrained within. It's all constrained within a couple of rooms, pretty much. It's a sort of film that they might not even make now because it's not it's not spectacular enough. There's not much.
What's funny about it is that there's so many Stephen King adaptations that are really poor.
Yeah.
And this one has the smallest scope.
Probably one of the smallest budgets.
I mean, it's almost like a play.
It is. Yeah, you could basically stage it as a play,
yeah.
and have only a couple of locations. I mean, there's a few more locations in it, but the bulk of the story just plays out within a couple of rooms, and yet you're on the edge of your seat the whole time.
Yeah, and I mean, it is frightening. It is disturbing as well. But it's. I mean, if you're looking for something that's an out and out horror film, I wouldn't say this is it. But it can be, like you say, it can be quite chilling.
It's disturbing and chilling, but in a sort of, I don't want to say cozy is probably not the right kind of
understated
kind of word, but it's understated. It's not
until the end.
Yeah. So, yeah. We won't spoil that, but it's very sort of. Again, the only way I can put it is you could watch it with your mum or your gran, and they'd probably still like it, even though there's some kind of fucked up stuff going on.
I think I remember watching it with my parents. And like at the end, where I'm not going to ruin anything, but there is violence towards the end of the film, and it kind of comes out of nowhere.
That's what's so shocking about it, because you're desensitized.
Well, it won't be shocking for you because now you'll expect it.
Well, you're desensitized to the kind of psychological things that he goes through. But then when the act actually happens, it's not right at the end of the film. It's like 2/3 of the way through.
There's 2 moments of violence.
Yeah.
2 moments of violence. But anyway, so that's Misery. I would say the director, Rob Reiner, he actually did quite a few good other films, not really horror related, but things like Stand By Me, When Harry Met Sally. So a few of his films are worth watching. And this one is definitely up there with some of the best on Netflix. Anything else?
Solid recommendation. What was that?
They also did Spinal Tap.
There you go. Yeah,
exactly. Can we say that Alan's off camera because obviously Scarf's there without his head.
My scarf.
It's not the ghost of Alan's.
I'd be a bit terrified if my scarf started speaking with Alan's voice.
What's your scarf? Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, so we will be back next week with probably a different lineup and another horror film from Netflix. So, bye for now. Oh, and Facebook and all that jazz. Hold that.
I'm getting crap.
Stop it, Callum.